So, okay. Welcome everybody to the first ever service area podcast. Yay!
Yay!
Have everybody
Woo!
here, Mr. Rick
Are we
Pulido.
live?
Yes, sir. Erika Corral, Alicia Llamas, and Mr. Manny Rosas. And the name of our podcast is Coffee with a Little Bit of Healing. Is that correct, guys?
That's
Ladies?
correct.
Yes.
Right here.
And so I'm super excited, as I'm sure everybody else is, that we're doing this because it's been a long time in the planning. It's been a when did we start talking about this, guys? What was this, like a year ago, a century ago? How long ago was this?
What year are we in? 2022? I think it was last year.
Oh, we've been
Forgot.
talking about expanding our way of getting information out to the community, but it really didn't flourish until we started getting our peer leadership group that really pushed us and motivated us to kind of get this done and not just talk about it, but actually get it done. And then we got all the right players to come on board to make sure that we got this kicked off right. So really excited about it.
Agreed,
It's
agreed.
true, it's true. And I agree with you, Manny, because I think that's the biggest thing for, Salt 7, that, whatever they bring it to our table, I think we're very dynamic when it comes to like, you guys want this, we're able to provide it. We go from word to action. So yes.
Yeah.
Erika, you just said something. What's a spa? What's that? It's like when you go to the spa and then you go swimming or you get a massage. What's a spa?
Yeah.
No, so spa will be so there's 8 spas within LA County, and they're broken down by the different different cities. And we're able to, for us, Salt 7, it'll start from, I believe, like borderline like Hyena Park to the top, close over there by like Whittier, borderline. But it incorporates also a lot of like the different cities that we provide. I'll have Alicia also jump on it and share more about it. Well, because we know that LA County is a really large area. It incorporates about 4,800 square miles. So what they decided to do, LA County, was divide these regions into eight distinct geographical regions. That way we could have departmental agencies such as Department of Public Health, DMH, focus on these regions and the needs of these communities. So in order to reach all these communities and provide the needed services, that's why it was broken down. So we have our southeast cities, we have our west side cities, we have our beach communities, we have our south central area, we have our north side, which is like Antelope Valley, Lancaster, the San Gabriel Valley area, which is Service Area 3, and of course we are the Southeast LA area, which is Service Area 7. So that's what the service areas are. So it just allows county departments to focus on the needs of these distinct regions.
Yeah,
I,
and with that said, I can tell you from my in a nutshell thought about the salt meaning service area leadership team. This is one of the great visions that we've had through Dr. Sharon's efforts as he came aboard a few years ago, and through our chief. Manny Rosas is our good colleague and friend. He's here today with us. I'm Rick Polito, the one and only, and I'm just glad that I can tell you guys right now, this being the first ever, I believe, and you guys correct me, but podcast, if you will, by DMH, exploring the avenues of how we go forward, how we move our social media, how we move our voice out there. And that's what SALT means to me. We are the voice, we are the eyes and ears, we are the backbone of the DMH department, and specifically here in the Great Salt 7 area. We, through our coordinated efforts, through our staff, admin, and through Manny, who's been a delight, by the way, since he came aboard. I
what
can
a
tell you
delight.
guys, you guys are my bros and my sisters. And brother Manny, he don't need this brown nosing. He knows. And Polito looks at you guys. I respect you guys highly, and you guys deliver. You guys are out here rolling up your sleeves. You're front
No,
line.
no, no! Please stop, please.
Okay, give me more. Give me more. He loves it. I feel him. And you know what? In a nutshell, we get things done because we roll up those sleeves. We listen, we adhere to what our providers, our nonprofits, our community, our brothers and sisters, the peers, the ones in recuperation, which we'll talk about later. That is what SALT is to me. is bringing that collaboration, bringing that unity, that weave together of family, community, providers. The department, it's huge, but we keep it simple and we keep it down to earth. And that's what makes me feel so good about our salt, is that we have a great, awesome team during this novel and these times that we live in. But you know what? It's good news ahead, and I'll talk more about it. But that's what the salt means to me. It's a grassroots effort. And thank you to all of you that are here and are listening to us today. And gracias a todos que están aquí, que pueden escucharnos, que estamos aquí para compartir nuestras buenas noticias con estos tiempos que vivimos. El
Mhm.
Departamento de Salud Mental, la Great Salt, aquí estamos para servirle y para estar aquí apoyándolos y diciéndolos que sí se puede y adelante. So,
Yeah.
gracias.
Thanks, Rick.
Me da gusto que dices eso, Rick, porque muchas veces vemos noticias o cosas y son muchas cosas lo que es el aspecto negativo. Y me encanta de que podemos también ahorita aquí hablar de las cosas buenas que siempre ha hecho Salt y las razones por qué están quebrados en 8 partes en el condado, pero a la misma vez es dar aquí un aliento a pesar de las cosas que estamos pasando. Y en veces sí estamos lidiando con muchas cosas personales, pero es bueno sentarse y como decimos en la comunidad, hay que oler el café un poquito, nos relajamos. Yo siempre he pensado que oí que dice, no hay que darles voz, sino palabra, porque voz ya la tienen. Entonces yo pienso que todos tenemos esa voz, pero tenemos aquí más que nada poderlo hablar y poderlos apoyar uno a los otros. Creo que con Salt tuvimos 12 juntas, no paramos, le seguimos, none of us went dark, none of us did anything, y fueron desde arriba hasta abajo, tuvimos a siempre nuestro chief al lado, no es que no pudo ir o lo que sea, no, todos los días estuvimos ahí, aunque estuviéramos poquito catarro, lo que sea, estábamos presentes con nuestro tecito. Pienso que es importante que lo que enseñamos aquí, la energía que nosotros tenemos, es porque ustedes nos lo dan y porque a nosotros nos encanta y es un placer servir a la comunidad.
Great said.
Amen. Well said.
And I think you both touched on a very important topic in a sense, or subject matter, which is why we created this podcast, or por qué decidimos hacer un podcast para la comunidad. And I'll share my point of view first, and then we can all just chime in, because I'm sure we all have different perspectives on it. But I've always been a big resource person. I've always worked in connecting the community to resources and trying to link them to the best resource possible. And with this time, o en estos tiempos, siendo lo que yo trataba de pensar es cómo podemos llegar a la comunidad en una manera más creativamente y darle los recursos que ocupan, and at the same time be able to continue to support them. And I think when the podcast idea, and I'm going to get this all mixed up, but when I think it was Rick who first said, why don't we create a podcast? And one of our community members, oh my God. But the point is that it wasn't my idea. I think it was a group effort, but the idea was basically, how can we support the community in a way that hasn't been done, at least not within Service Area 7. I might be mistaken. There's possibly a different podcast that we don't know about that touches on these subjects. But the idea was, how can we bring these resources to the community in a new, creative way? How can we try to reach our youth? How can we try to reach that population that's underserved, or maybe doesn't have access to the regular resources or meetings that we attend? Mm-hmm. And so in my head, when the idea of the podcast was first floated around, I did the whole, I don't know if that's possible, right? And then I think I thought about it some more, and I said, you know what, maybe we can make it work, and then we've been kind of on it for a while. But again, just to come back to it, my whole thing was sharing resources with the community and making these resources available to the community at any time and date. When you get home from work. So this is my routine. When I get off of work, I make dinner for my family, for my little one, for my lady, and then I turn on a podcast or I turn on Netflix, and that's when I take in my news or whatever it is I'm doing while I'm cooking dinner, right? So I think for me, in my head, I had to put myself in those shoes and be like, what's more accessible to me? We all have busy days and busy times, but feel free to step in. I know that we all had a different beginning to putting this podcast together. Manny, Rick, Manny?
I mean, I think I agree. It came up in multiple conversations. Like I said, the biggest push I recall is when we had our peers. We had a couple of young folks who were basically saying, you know, we can't all make it to appointments and meetings during regular hours. We have school, we have work, and with the COVID pandemic happening, there was a lot of stuff that's been prohibiting people from getting to services and meetings to share their opinions. So one of the big push was to start a podcast, and we were like, well, why not? And what kind of topics? And I know they gave us some ideas to talk about, and I know as we all kind of brainstormed about the possibility of doing this, one of the things that came through, at least to me, was just the passion, because everyone that's sitting here, we've all either grown up in, again, we're responsible for the Southeast LA County, right? The portion of LA County. It's East Los Angeles, for, you know, Commerce, Whittier, you name it, Cerritos, Norwalk, Downey, all of those communities. We've either lived there, we are living there, or we were grown up there. So we know our community, we know our residents. They are our neighbors, they are us. So we can speak to not only what the needs are of our community, but I think really talked about just some of the resources that unfortunately go underutilized because our community doesn't really know about them. But again, we want this to be a podcast not only by the community, because we're all part of that Service Area 7 community, but also for the community. So, you know, I know that there's been some thoughts about bringing in some special like topics to talk to address and guest speakers, and I think that's something we'll definitely get to. But this was something that we've talked about, wanting to expand our reach and touching, you know, reaching other community members, not just the same people that come to our meetings and come to our services on a regular basis, but getting the word out. And fortunately, like I said, we got the right group together, the right timing, and the opportunity presented itself for us to kind of move forward with this podcast.
Agreed. Erika, Alicia, any
Well,
thoughts?
yeah, I mean, I think for me, as an outreach and engagement coordinator for Service Area 7, I started with the county back in 2012.
Wait, I
And
have a question. You
yes,
just messed up. What does that mean? Outreach and
outreach and
engagement.
engagement.
You're talking to me like in this alien language. No entiendo. Disculpe, señora. ¿Qué dijo?
Hago alcance a la comunidad. Mi trabajo en el condado ahorita es alcance a la comunidad. So, mi trabajo es de ir a las diferentes comunidades en nuestra área, como la ciudad de Huntington Park, el este de Los Ángeles, donde yo crecí, la ciudad de Commerce, todas las áreas que incorpora la área 7. Mi trabajo es ir a hacer alcance, presentar servicios del Departamento de Salud Mental y también conseguir recursos. So, por ejemplo, si voy, mi método de antes de la pandemia era, mi oficina era en el centro. Si yo tomaba diferentes rutas cada vez para ver qué miraba. Por ejemplo, si miraba un edificio que decía servicios sociales para mujeres, me estacionaba, me bajaba y a ver qué tipo de servicios prestaba esa organización, recogía los recursos y yo dejaba mis folletos de departamento. So, una persona que hace alcance a la comunidad es simplemente eso, dar reconocimiento al Departamento de Salud Mental y los servicios que prestamos, y también a recibir los servicios de ellos y tener un portafolio. Como mi trabajo era también dar recursos, siempre tener ese portafolio de recursos en la comunidad.
So no es simplemente, es una gran cosa ser O&E coordinator or outreach and engagement coordinator. It's a huge thing because you're bringing these resources not only to us, but to the community who needs them the most. And if you don't know about it, we don't know about it. And if we don't know about it, we can't share it.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not a simple thing. It's a huge thing, but continue.
Yeah, and right now, you know, like with the pandemic, it's having to reinvent the way that we do outreach. It's a little bit more difficult, right? Before it was that door-to-door grassroots, and right now we're not able to do that. So having to reinvent it on how we can reach our community. And so having this podcast is one of those avenues that, thankfully we're able to do. And this being our first one, we're here together introducing our wonderful team. And, we hope to then bring some of these community providers out there to you, to this group, and share the resources. And like Manny said, there's a wealth of resources out there that the community doesn't even know about. In doing my research when I was doing O&E, come to find out that the city of East LA is one of those cities that has the most resources, yet people aren't aware of what's out there. So it is our job to make sure that these community residents know what's out there. As an O&E coordinator, and previous to that, I was coordinating our promoters of mental health, a group of individuals who go out there and do mental health presentations. My role there was to secure presentations for the promoters of mental health. So I went to every school in Southgate, every school in Huntington Park. I just, I was everywhere, just doing this type of outreach to promote the promoters and get them out there. So I think it's really important that, like you said, Jaime, that it's bringing resources to our community right now. It's difficult. And I really applaud Manny, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even be able to do this right now.
He's blushing. You just make Manny blush.
Yeah, he's like, bring it on, bring it on. But one of the things is with our service area, I think it's exactly that. We are listening. We are finding ways to bring this. They talked about a peer resource center. It's going to come soon, opening soon at a location near you. So everything that the feedback that we get from those that we serve, we try our best to make it happen. And this is one of those forums to bring various resources that I know are going to be well received by our community. So,
yeah.
And sometimes I think it's just even clarifying just some of the resources that we have available, because, like myself, right? I work for the Department of Mental Health, and anytime I go to community settings, oftentimes I get questions, well, what's mental health? What does that mean? That's just for people that are crazy, para los loquitos. And it's just like, well, no. Part of mental health is it's really, there's a whole process to it. It's mental illness is just one part of it. We all have struggles, but it's getting the type of support that will help you get on that road to recovery, that will help you maintain well-being, so that, we can, just like we do with physical health, we try to eat healthy, sleep well, we try to exercise to maintain our physical health. Well, it's no different for maintaining our mental health. And that's part of what I think it is clarifying to the community as well, is that there are supports out there. I was having a conversation earlier today with a parent from one of our clinics who had shared that, there's oftentimes she volunteers at one of the schools, and she hears so much about parents or kids don't want to come in for services because of the stigma of, if they're seen walking into one of our clinics, just, people are going to know, or going to say that they're crazy and they have these issues. And it's like, well, there's, fortunately, like Alisa, you were saying, the pandemic kind of forced us to have to reinvent how we're doing things. But rather than getting stuck, I think it provided us an opportunity to really get services out to the community in a different way. Utilizing digital platforms, using like what we're using right now, telehealth, really, so that, wherever a consumer, a client, a family is, they can dial in and talk to somebody. Our department teamed up with I Prevail, and we have this platform where basically we've taken traditional like talk therapy, and now it's free and it's accessible to any LA County resident on any smart device, whether it's your smartphone, a tablet, whatever. You can log on, it's free, and instantly be connected to like a peer specialist or a coach to start having those type of talks, which, again, before, we all know, if you had to go out into one of our clinics, you had to go through the whole screening process, the intake process. This kind of really makes it just more available out there to the community. And I do think that although it's a struggle and we're still going through this whole pandemic, I think we've been very creative, especially out here in Service Area 7, in getting new, innovative ways of getting services and the word out to our community. Rather than waiting for everybody to come to us, to our clinics, to our services, we're getting the word out there. And I do think sometimes that's part of, hopefully, the intent of what we're trying to do. And we're educating the community. Even if it's just one person that gets something out of this, I kind of feel like, hey, we've met our goal. We've already met our goal.
Yeah, so well said, man. I like that, Manny, and everybody's right on what your points are, and I agree. You know, our philosophy. I think all of us here we have open door policy. All of our doors right now are virtual. A lot of our offices are at home or on the field, but they're very segregated because of the pandemic and whatnot. But that open door policy that Manny and that I think Alicia and Erica and Jaime are talking about, to me, creates that philosophy that we are the one day we're going to be that one-stop shop, process that Manny and I and Jaime and all of us, even Dr. Sharon has said this in the past, and I quote him because sometimes if you don't have an open door policy all the way from the top down and down up, then sometimes you miss. You guys, we create barriers, or people just like Manny said, where do I go, or it click, and then you don't call back because you weren't treated properly. We have, I think, in our division here, especially in our 7, our one-stop shop philosophy is, I believe we work with that person until they get that service or that resource that they need. And you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, as far as staff, but you guys are my brothers and sisters, and I know for a fact that all you guys, not only roll up the sleeves and like Erica said, have the voice and talk the talk, but you guys actually say, hey, make sure that unhoused person gets connected into a shelter, or make sure that person who needs clothing or needs something, they're hooked up with the Salvation Army, or make sure that person who doesn't have medication, he gets over to Inky, or make sure that person who doesn't know what's going on for the first crisis with NAMI Whittier, or whoever it may be, Pacific Clinics, the rest, Starview, we have all these great resources out there, and a lot of them are striving to meet their mandates, of course, and they're looking at their deliverables and outcomes. But you know what? I think what we do something more than anybody else does in this whole department, and that we meet one person at a time, family by family, person to person. I think that's Manny's philosophy. He makes sure something gets through the cracks. He wants to know, how can I improve that? How can I make it more effective? How can I, Rick Polito, be more astute to when we're in our meetings? Our meetings are very innovative, by the way. They go back and forth. We have a lot of good sessions and debates, but nothing like in person, unfortunately. But right now, we are doing the best we can, and that one-stop shop approach is coming to fruition here with this podcast. And I believe we're doing it, you notice, bilingually. And, we want people to know you could hear a little bit in Spanish, hear a little bit in English, and maybe eventually Tagalog, Japanese, Korean. We'll have guest speakers. We'll have all that good stuff down the road. But right now, what we have is the heart. This is the beginning of something. And the seed is being planted. So I'm with you guys as far as letting you know that the O&E, for me, outreach engagement, I always call it, I'm reaching out to the people that don't seem to have that voice, or sometimes rather than that, seem to be looking to navigate our system. And we've heard that terminology for years now, for centuries. And how do you do that? How do you hook people up so they can navigate and say, hey, I can call Polito and he'll get me hooked up into Salt 7 admin, or I can call Erica and she'll give me my clinical backup that I need right now, somebody who needs to get some counseling or something. They will know people, and they'll have a little cheat sheet right there. And that's a lot of times the best way kept secret in Salt 7 is that we care, we share everything we do. We're very, very open when it comes to our delivery process, and that's what's important to us, is that we serve and make sure that we are serving the people and community, and especially our loved ones. And I'll talk about the peers a little later on, but I'll pass it on because I think that is the key. What Manny was saying earlier about telehealth, these are things that are going to happen, and they're happening as we speak, and it might be with us for this might be the new normal,
Well,
So
and I think, Rick, like what you're saying, it takes a team, it takes a community. It's a team effort. And again, yeah, we're doing things differently. We're not doing them in person, obviously. But even like you see the little corner over here, the QR code. that's something we didn't have before that we were kind of thrown into doing by one of our own team members who had the ingenious idea of setting up a QR code where people can just scan it and it'll connect them directly into our Service Area 7 microsite. And on there, you have everything, every like resource. It's up to date because you guys know we used to get complaints, and we still occasionally do, where people are like, well, I don't know if I have the right number. I don't know if this clinic still exists. I don't know if this program still exists. Well, on that website, you're connected to all of the resources that are available in the entire Southeast LA portion of LA County. So you can get connected there to services. You know, you can find out if you want to participate in any of our group meetings. We have, like Rick, you were talking about our service area leadership team meeting. It's open to all community members. We have consumers, we have family members, we have mental health providers, we have public health, occasionally we have law enforcement, school districts. People participate there, and it's all to update each other, share resources, but also give input. Because as we're developing programs, that's where we give the input. What are the gaps? And it has to be specific to our region. LA County is huge. LA County is bigger than some states, quite frankly, and we're very diverse. But part of our goal in doing this was to really target our Southeast LA community, because we know we're very unique. We have very unique population. Our census is different. The community needs are different, but our resources are also different. There's a lot of grassroots stuff that happens in our community, and it's an opportunity to really kind of share that and showcase that. So again, I 100% agree with you, but I do think that rather than kind of throwing ourselves back and just waiting to see until the dust settles through the pandemic, we really had kind of stepped it up and thrived. Again, like I said, you got that little QR code, which simple enough, we're all familiar with it now because we go to restaurants, and anytime you got to scan that just to try and get it, right? Well, just as simple, it's the same way. You need resources, you can get connected. We still have the traditional ways, like we still have the mental health helpline. That's good anywhere in LA County, just in case we don't have it up there, but it's 1-800-854-7771. It's toll free. You can call there, and somebody's available 24/7 to answer the phone, talk to you, and also even connect you to resources. See what type of resources you might need, and they're helpful for that, and it's specific to LA County. But if you want to do your own research and you don't want to go through all the different resources in LA County, you go directly over to this QR code, and it has everything on there as well. So I do think that there's a lot that we have as a community, but there's an opportunity for us to kind of start bringing all of this stuff together as well.
And I think so too, Manny and guys, it's a way of also bringing that accessibility in different times. And then obviously through the SALT meetings as well, we're also having it to be where you feel that you see a whole community. And like someone once said, it takes a village to raise a child. So it's just, you just have different people from the community where you might have to like talk to someone and say, how was this? You know, because I think, I know myself, like I have my family that live in, Spot 7. And I know a lot of the times, even though I mention it to my own mom, I know it doesn't get until like her comadre mentions it, right? And it's not Erica, it's not everyone else, but it's until it's integrated into the community. But I also want to add that everything that we've done it with a lot of dedication. We've gotten definitely very innovative. This podcast is what is it called? A product of it, because we are hearing you guys, just like Alicia mentioned. We are listening twice. We have dos orejas, and we are wanting for you guys to being able to be part of this. And I think it's like a little semillita that is starting to grow. Today, you guys gave us la semillita, and it's just helping us have this grow. And I know I'm coming up like symbolically with like la semilla and having it to grow, but I think it's all of us being mindful of this. We're all in this together. And if I believe like we had in I think in the summer to the Department of Mental Health, where it says if one is not okay, not everyone's okay. So I think if we're able to help out one person, then we're able to help the rest of us. So I'm hoping that even within this podcast, it came out like that, like a little semillita, that we can continue to grow and reflect on this first episode that we're having today on January 13, where we will be celebrating like our 100, episode, because it's going to be that good, because there is a need, and we've seen it that there has been a need. I know the five of us have gotten really creative when it comes to our meetings and everything that we do, from like singing to like having a reflected time, that it's okay to like, you know, support each other through difficult but also celebrate to great times. So hope that everyone is able to get something out of the podcast, and if not, know that the five of us, like, you know, Rick mentioned, we are open to the feedback. We really jump on it right away. I really have to give it up to everyone. When we did the survey, we got everyone to like give us the feedback, and that's what we do. We want for you guys to let us know what it is. This comes from the community, and this is by the community for you guys to like own it.
Thank you guys. And I just wanted to piggyback on what Manny was saying, and you guys are all sharing. I brought up the website because I completely forgot about the QR code. It just like it, but so this is what the QR code brings up. If you guys can see to this side of the screen, that's our microsite, and we've made it very easy for anyone in the community to access. And what I'll do is I'll just bring it back to the main DMH website. So if you literally go into your search bar, type in LA County DMH or just DMH, you will come upon this page. And if you go to the search engine and simply type in Service Area 7, then you will come across our microsite. And on our microsite or subpage, you're going to find every single meeting, the SALT, which is the one that Rick, Erica, and Manny were discussing, and some of our other collaborative meetings that we have. Some are open to the community, some are open to providers, but these are some of the innovative ways that Service Area 7 has kind of stepped up to the plate, I guess you can say, during these times of need, these different times. I mean, you know, we've done everything we can to reduce how much searching or navigating the community members have to do on their own to find the services they need within Service Area 7. We have resources listed that are specific to Service Area 7. You can literally contact any of our managers, navigate, all our phone numbers and emails are listed there. So sometimes, like a funny joke, sometimes my coworkers will say, you know, we've been getting more calls. Like I get a lot of calls to my phone number, and I don't know why that's happening. Well, because our contact information has been listed on this website, and I didn't do it as I outed myself, so it's me, but I didn't do it as a
So you're the culprit.
Yeah.
Your
So
fault.
that's why this thing keeps going off. I
That's
hear.
the reason. Okay.
You know, the idea is when I was coming up in the ranks and working, one of the things that I was taught was to be transparent. And to me, this is a form of transparency in the sense that I want the community to reach out to me and complain to me, because this gives me an opportunity to do something different, or maybe get more creative, or approach our team and say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't working, or hey, this is working, and kind of see what we can do. But again, it's just a part of transparency. But more, my point was just sharing the microsite with you guys, allowing you to be able to see that we have everything listed on here, and eventually we're going to have more things listed up here. Our service area map, which is this, which earlier I was alluding to not knowing what a service area is, but I was just being silly. This is our service area map, which shows all of the cities that we provide services in. And don't get me wrong, sometimes services, and I've had this discussion before, sometimes services cross borders. You know, a lot of the times community members, again, my mom, and she's not here, but I'll use her as a reference. If I say to my mom, that's service area 6, she's gonna say, ¿qué es eso, mijo? I don't know. Yo no, yo voy a la clínica que está acá.
Mi mamá y tu mamá se conocen, sí, así hablan. Sí.
So a lot of the times, I think when we're innovating, or I'm involved in a discussion, what I use to put into perspective what we're gonna do is like my mom, or you know, myself as a community member, or someone who really utilizes all these resources. And you know, again, I think I shared with Manny and my coworkers a while back ago that maybe last year my mom got a smartphone. My mom is 74. Uh, my sister made her a Facebook just so that she can stay in the chisme. And I've told her, you know, you can find resources in there. Oh no, mijo, porque todos me van a ver. No one can see you if you don't post any. But you know, it's realizing that our community are at different levels. We have older population, younger population, what we refer to as Tay population. You know, I'm at an age where I used to consider myself young, but I don't think I am. And anymore, I've realized that I'm wrong. and and there's a lot that I have to learn that we can teach our community and vice versa. And I think kind of wrapping it all up, right? It's one of the many reasons we decided to create this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And purpose is that we did it, right? It's we're being creative. We're trying to reach our community. We're trying to make them aware of all these resources that already exist and exposing them to new resources within Service Area 7. But definitely, I sorry anybody. I just wanted to, because you sent me on a snowball, Manny. You mentioned the code, the QR code, and I'm like, oh yeah, that thing is sitting behind there. I was wondering what that was. I completely forgot about it.
It's important. I mean, and again, we take that for granted. And sometimes I know we get caught up in our own county lingo and using terms, and people are like Jaime, what you were saying. What's a service area for people outside of our working world? Service areas are like, well, I have no idea. I know I live in what city, but I have no idea what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So oftentimes we get caught up in that, but I think it is important. I mean, we got to put that stuff out there so that our community knows. And like you said, we're accessible. To me, there's never a wrong entry point. Even if you look at the map and it's like, oh well, I don't live in Southeast LA. It's like that's okay. We're still accessible. Even if you're not part of our portion of LA County, we can connect you to the right person that is the right program. That there should never be a wrong entry door. It's just
Right.
our whole goal is to try and get our community into services, get them connected to support services, whatever those services may be and wherever they may be, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And just on a side note, I did want to say, because I know I just looked at the heading of our podcast, and the coffee with a side of healing. We also got to give a little bit of credit over to Erica, because in part she kind of had a doing with this, because I recall the very first time that we met with our peer leadership group. Kind of to break the ice, Erica, you were mentioning it's like you were ready to start talking. You had your cafecito and your pan dulce, and as we were talking, one of the peers actually referenced that and said, yeah, like that one lady said, why does healing always have to be like at the clinic? We should be able to have coffee and donuts. And I remember as the discussion was going, I grabbed my paper and pen. I was writing. I'm all like, there you go. That's what it is. It's coffee with a side of healing. So in large part, we got to give credit to Erica for that as well, because she kind of
Oh,
spurred it.
guys,
And those
yeah,
part with our
thanks.
peers there as well. So
No, it's
But it's true, right? I think a lot of it too, and thank you guys. But I think it's a lot of it like knowing. I think within Soul 7, like we have that sazoncito, we have that way that we go about it. I mean, a lot of the times when we have engaged with the peers, Manny, is a lot. We do talk about food, and I think that's something that is fine. I think even some of them when we do origin engagement, the best way is that you need to be able to like create that report. I know personally myself as a clinician, I feel like if you don't have report, you're not going nowhere. So I think it's able to like help you to get that. And I think with the peers, it's really good to connect and know more of like just behind more than what it is with an Erica. Oh, does she like chilaquiles? And it's fine because you're creating that relationship that you're able to like process when it gets to like difficult topics or traumatic. And I really think it's a process that you go through it, even if it's you getting a cup for coffee, you're getting the hot water. Are you going to add dos de azúcar o una? Like, are you watching your stuff? Because they're also taking care of the whole person, right? But I think it is a healing process that takes care of you. And why not? It's okay to have a conchita next to it on the side, and then that probably can bring you memories like, I had a conchita, with so-and-so. I know for myself, when I have coffee or when I have hot chocolate, especially hot chocolate, it always brings me back to mi abuelita, and for me, it has a different saborcito, so I do get it in a different way. So I'm hoping that, this coffee with healing or this cafecito con podernos ayudarnos en la salud mental o tener una charla o una plática My mom also says it, and I always reference to her, and it's okay that we go back to our mom, Jaime. It's okay. My mom is like, oh, hablé con mi comadre y me siento tan bien. And I was like, for how long? Se acabó la batería del celular. And I'm like, wow, mom, you had a huge session. But that's sometimes a lot of the times that you could even, if you have a session with someone who's very objective, maybe not your comadre or why not, but then it helps you. And it's okay that you're able to like leave that somewhere, because I think a lot of the times within the community, we carry too many backpacks. We carry too many things. And it's okay to say, like, you know what? I'm going to take care of my mental health. And I think that's something that within this podcast too is that, we do have learned a lot of things within this pandemic, and it is that we have to take care of ourselves too. If you point your finger like this, if you notice, you point your finger like that, there's three pointing back to you. So if you say, Jaime, have a concha, you should say, have three for you. No, I'm just kidding. No, no. But I'm just saying, like, it should tell you three things that you could do for yourself. Like, if you tell, like, I'm always telling my mom, like, cuídese, haga esto. But I'm always like, si no se cuida Erika, ¿cómo va a cuidar a su mamá? O si Rick no se cuida a él mismo, ¿cómo va a cuidar a su esposa? Like, you just do stuff like that I think I'm hoping we can talk about different topics within the podcast. And it's a process of healing, even if it starts con un cafecito, right?
Yeah. And you know what's so funny about that? I have to chime in before I forget, because I will. I'm remembering that first episode, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because we were all there, right? But I swear, I think that's the one where the icebreaker was, what's your favorite breakfast? And by the end of that episode,
yes,
so hungry. Everything everybody mentioned was so delicious, but it was so awesome how we were able to connect through sharing what our breakfast was, right? And it's a gift if you really think about it, and we're able to pass that along because again, going back to my mom, I've noticed with my mom that whenever she shares with me or vents with me and I share something with her, like she'll tell me, "Oh, I told your tia what you said, and she feels a lot better." And I'm like, that's good. So like we're able to pass this along. So through this podcast, I'm hoping like, we have professionals in the field here. We're going to be able to share information that's going to be helpful to everybody. And in a sense, we're sharing a resource, and we're sharing I don't know, we're sharing a resource information that's going to help the community out. But definitely, again, just real quick, that food thing really connected everybody. I think it was Rick. Were you eating menudo that day? Did Modesta bring you a menudo that day?
Pozole.
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 he was having pozole. He showed it to us cerquitas like that. I
Yeah,
remember
even went
that.
like this, remember? He says,
Yeah.
look.
As a matter of
He
fact,
had he had a
making me
second
some
bowl
more
for
right
salt.
now.
Right
Yeah.
now, she's making
Right
more.
now, making pozole for dinner. So
Oh
I'll be
my
thinking
God,
about you
guys,
guys
stay
tonight.
tuned. Stay
Yeah.
tuned. Rick is gonna show us pozole soon.
Well, pozole is sanación, like you all are talking about. Healing starts from the heart, and healing starts from within, and then you could heal and then heal others. Because if you don't love yourself and heal first, how can you heal others? So,
Yes.
but you guys are just right on the money. You're spot on. Everything you're saying, it's touching me very heavily because I could tell you right now, from a man who's been through a lot, a lot. I'm 67 years young, and I'll be 68 in February. Hint, hint, birthday time. Uh, you guys, you guys don't forget me now. I love you guys because we're all we're all professionals in our own rights, and we're all from the heart. But we know what we're not only talking and what we're doing, but we are working diligently for the community, working diligently for the parents, and who better than everybody? Our loved ones, our peers. And I want to talk about that just for a second in the sanación because my kids have been healed, thank God. They've been through the whole gamut. Some to prison, some through some heavy hospital bouts. And the thing that I could tell, the resiliency that I get, is hearing in their voices that Dad, Mom, you guys were there when we needed you guys. You brought the whole family in. We stamp out that stigma everywhere we go. We've talked about this for centuries, and now what better than ever to say to our peers that, hey, we love you and we want to give back, and we'll make sure that they are once they're in recuperation. I mean, if you're in denial, that's you guys, the clinicians, Manny and Eric and the rest. You guys work with those folks. I'm talking about folks that are ready to move forward and take that first step to sanación, to healing, and saying, I accept my illness. I know I'm going to be living with this the rest of my life. But good news is I could be a doctor, I could be a lawyer, I could be a dog groomer, whatever it is that we want to be. But I could be because I'm free to be so, and my mind is healing. And that's what you always hear me say. DMH stands for what? Devoted to mind healing. DMH. And so Dr. Sharon liked that one time, and I said, hey, interface and DMH, we can't go wrong, right? So
Right.
I guess what I'm trying to say in pocas palabras is that our peers right now, we need, Manny and I and Jaime has touched on it, but Manny and I have talked about this, and that's the peer workforce. We are going to be pushing in the very near future in the podcast, and have not only the resources, and it's online. Manny's already hiring folks, and there are going to be peers that are in recuperation, peers that are ready to work in the workforce and make decent and fair wages, not just $10, $15 an hour, but I mean real wages, which they deserve as live experience habitants, people that have made it, that are survivors, because it's not easy out there, as you know. And Manny knows, I know Manny's mindset on this. He says, Polito, that's number one priority 2022, and that's to hire more peers in authentic positions where they could go home and take their bacon home to the family and say, hey, maybe look what I earned. Look what my first paycheck looks like. Look at my little apartment. Hey, look at my little lifestyle. I got a little carrito now. Hey,
Mhm.
I could have like my son-in-law. He's Down syndrome. He says to me, and you guys got me on this one. This is a sidebar name. And little Juanito, I look at him, I go, Buenos dias, Javi, ¿qué pasó? And he goes, Café, café. So he says to me,
Oh,
Café, café. So Modi and I always say Café, café to everybody. And so that's our Spanish bilingual name of coffee with a side of healing, or Café, café with a little side of sanación. So why not, And that's what the beauty is. We all come off on each other's coattails really nicely. We all gel because it all starts from the corazon, and the Holy Spirit comes into us, and then we can evolve from there, and we can start producing a negative. Remember, I always said you make a positive, and that's my life's philosophy. That I'm always looking for the paz y amor de Jesus Cristo, and the life of a better for the lone wolves, for the voiceless, for the kids out there that are really out in the calles. And I know many the dropouts, the ones that are out there trafficking. There's so many issues that we're going to be talking about. This podcast, I'm teasing you guys because I know these are some of the topics down the road, but we're gonna be going through some heavy debates, discussions, interesting guest speakers, interesting dialogue that will be there, and
yes.
we'll come and go like the wind, but we'll be there. And you know what? At the end of the day, I'm hoping that this message gets not only conveys the truth and the love that we have for our humanity, but for each other, and that we give our kids a little hug when we get home, even a virtual hug right now. You guys can give yourselves a virtual hug. You know how we always, Eric and I, we start standing up and saying, "All
You
right,
are
let's
sexy,
recharge."
Rick. Yes.
And that's what we need right now. It's break time, but it's good times. And music will be involved in the future. We might be doing a little Zumba. We might be doing a little singing this little light of mine. We never know what
Rick
comes up.
might sing, guys. Rick might sing. Just let us know if you want Rick to sing. He's a good singer.
And with
You
that
know,
said, very beautifully said, Rick, and
Yep.
everybody. I am so excited. Again, I know we're almost at the end of our first podcast ever. Coffee with a little bit of healing, or coffee with a side of healing. Sorry. But with that said, if you guys found this podcast, that means you're on our microsite. Feel free to click on the different tabs, explore our meetings, contact us. I am Jaime. So if you find my name, you'll find my email. Email me. If you're a provider listening to this podcast, please reach out. If you'd like us to highlight one of your programs, the services you provide, if there's a special project, please reach out to us. Again, uh, not to out Manny or Alicia, but you can also find their contact information there too. And Erica and Rick. But this was great, everybody. This was an awesome topic conversation. I know that we were all a little nervous and concerned how this might go, but I thought it went awesome. I think it went great. Like I said, it was just a conversation from the heart, and I know we all have passion and heart, and we're true to what we do, which is part of why we're here. So I think that transmits in any way. It's something that you don't need to interpret for anybody. People will pick that up, and as long as we keep it that way, it's always going to be awesome. But thank you guys for taking the time to be here. I know you are all very important and busy people in the community. So thank you all for being here. Any closing words, Erica, Alicia, Manny, Mr. Pulido, anything you guys want to say? Bon voyage, live long and prosper.
Nano.
There you go.
You know, no, definitely. You know, this is. I was a little nervous, I have to admit, but I think we were made for this, guys. I think we're made for the big screen. Maybe me for the wide screen, but definitely for the big
It's
screen.
gonna be
I
good.
think it's gonna be okay. I think we're gonna rock and roll this, definitely. Thank you all again. If you're like Jaime said, you're listening to us. Thank you for taking time to hear us out, and hopefully you'll come back on our next round.
Of
Thank you all.
course. And again, the sky's the limit. I think I'm not. I don't have to reiterate what Rick was saying, but the sky's the limit in terms of what we can do, the different topics we'll talk about, the different providers we'll have on, the different conversations, information. I mean, this time around, we just kind of really wanted to give everybody a feel of why we decided to do this, which really kind of just shows our passion for what we do in the community. But I think, all honesty, the sky's the limit in terms of what our next episodes will hold. And maybe for our, I don't know, our 10th, let's start slow. Maybe our 10th episode will
Yes.
celebrate, and we'll see what the future has in hold for us. But definitely thank you guys all for being here. I'm super grateful. Again, I think this was a long time coming. I think we've all been sitting on this idea for a long time, keeping it hush hush. Shh, don't tell anybody. We're gonna do this.
We build it, they will come. Remember?
Yeah,
So there you
it's
go.
happening.
It's just a click away, guys, and I definitely agree with you, Alicia and Jaime and Manny and Rick. Like it was really a little bit to be nervous, but we're like like maybe a quinceañera that goes out there to do the vals for the first time. We're cinco quinceañeros and quinceañeras here, like trying to do this and go out there in the community to do our first vals in front of everyone. And I'm glad that you guys. I'm hoping that you guys also will enjoy it and this video, this podcast will get like 1,000 or more clicks, Jaime. And you're right, Alicia, maybe we'll be somewhere else at another screen. But más que nada, like, muchas bendiciones y gracias por todo el amor y las buenas energías que siempre nos dan. And just, join us too at SALT. We have 120 minutes of great fun on a Friday. We always say that. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Manny,
Thank
any
you.
closing words?
No, just thanks for everything. I mean, I think again this was great that it finally happened, and a lot of good information. Looking forward to the future, and wanted to hear back from people who watch this and let us know if there's topics that they have of interest. Put us up to the challenge, so we can try and get the experts to come on board and talk about this. But again, thank all of you for being here. Jaime, Alicia, Erica, Rick. Again, you guys are a wealth of expertise, knowledge, and just passion, and I'm very honored to be a part of it. So, thank you all for this.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. And let me just close with the last closing prayer, telling everybody, on behalf of the Department of Mental Health, our family here in the great Salt 7 area, we are just delighted to kick off today. And knowing that this is just the beginning, only the beginning, like our CTA friends from Chicago would say, of new beginnings and good life ahead. May the happiest of New Year's and may the most safest New Year's be for all of us. God bless you all. Peace be with you all. And share that love, man. When you see somebody, give them that little virtual hug, man, because that means a lot. And remember, that smile is contagious. So keep spreading the good news. Here we go, baby. I love you guys. Take care. And peace be with you always, man. Take care. God bless you.
See you guys next time.